Hey guys, what's up? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, first off, thanks so much for stopping by. What I do is every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. I check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs, give you my ranking of those songs, and then of course give you my overall thoughts on the artist based on what I just heard. Today's artist, as you can see right there, is Sumo Cyco. Now, I do have some experience with Sumo Cyco. I've heard a few singles here and there. The only one that I really have a strong recollection of is Vertigo, which, looking at their Spotify, it actually is their most streamed songs. So I guess I'm not the only one that only knows that song by Sumo Cyco. So my understanding, based on that song and what I recall, this is a pop metal band. They use a lot of electronics, but they still have metal grooves and pop style hooks at the very least. I tend to like a heaping dose of pop with my heavy music, so I'm hoping that's what I get throughout and that I'm right. This was a suggestion by one of you kind viewers who also happens to simp this band, so please leave suggestions in the comments of other bands or artists I need to check out that you also simp for. So let's just dive in to Sumo Cyco. I really wanted to check out Billy S by Sky Sweetnam, who is the lead singer of Sumo Cyco. She started off as a pop star in the pop punk kind of era. I actually dug a lot of that music, and my wife is actually a fan as well. So when I was told that Sky is now doing metal music, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess she just kind of started off as a gateway pop punker like lots of people before getting into the heavy stuff. But we're going to start with Fighter off their debut album, Lost in Psycho City. Okay, so this is a little different than I thought. This is kind of like a metal version of like a rockabilly song. I kind of dug it though. The metal riff that we get is pretty generic. I've heard it dozens of times before, so that did little for me. But I will say, the drumming was actually really phenomenal on this track. That being said, the vocals from Sky Sweetnam, if I'm assuming she's still calling herself that, are easily the strongest thing in this song. Which, good thing the vocals are strong, because lyrics are not. There's quite a bit of repeating in them. Alright, so next up, we're moving to their second album, Opus Mar, which was released in 2017. And I checked out the track, Moving Mountains. Oof. I take back everything I just said about the repeating lyrics in the last track. I think out of all the songs I've listened to for these 100+ Emo Cat Dad Listens, this is the one that repeated the most. We get a feature by Benji Webby. I hope I'm saying that right. I really dug his feature. It added some reggaeton style to the track. I've never actually dug into his music. I've seen interviews with him because he's always on like the big rock and metal festivals, especially in the UK with his band Skindred. I've never really checked them out, so if you're a Skindred fan, let me know in the comments if I should check them out or not. But I will say, if Skindred sounds like this without the repetition in the lyrics, I think I'm going to have a good time. Alright, we are now at their most recent album, Initiation, released back in 2021. And the first track I checked out from that was Run with the Giants. Okay, so this song, despite no Benji Webby, still has a little bit of reggaeton in there. Obviously not nearly as much, but still there. I'm starting to think that maybe Sky Sweetnam grew up a No Doubt fan? Because it's got those fingerprints all over it, especially in the chorus. Musically, I'd say the standout here is the electronics. There's been electronics on all these tracks, but this is the first one where they really drive the song forward. And finally, also off Initiation, I checked out Bystander. I'm going to go on a limb and say this one was written during COVID, because this sounds very angry, both vocally and lyrically. There's still some repetition in lyrics. It's been there on all the tracks. Not as bad as Moving Mountains, but It's there. It's not something I love, so I hope they can get away from that eventually. Musically, it's very chaotic, honestly, just like the other three songs, but this one takes it up a notch. And honestly, because of that, I kind of dug it more. Alright, so those are 4 tracks I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them. At number 1, I just said it, I dug it more, so it's got to be Bystander. I do love me some angry music, especially when it still has like some pop sensibility to it. So yeah, the Bystander just worked really well in both those regards. At 2, I think I'm going to go around with the Giants, put the 2 Initiation songs up top. I think I would probably put Vertigo Based on Memory ahead of this track, which is also on Initiation. So I definitely think Sumo Cyco is headed in a right direction. Everything fusing together in a chaotic ball of energy, and they're able to handle that better than anyone else I've seen. At 3, I'm going Fighter. Obviously, I didn't like the repeating lyrics, but all these tracks did, so what really sunk this track was the generic riff. Otherwise, I had no other complaints about this song. If it wasn't for that, honestly, this could have easily challenged for number 1. I did not hate this song, but when I'm ranking it, a generic riff is definitely going to knock it down a peg, or in this case 2. And finally, at 4, it's Move Mountains. This was a no-doubter from the second I heard it. The repetition and lyrics was just too much. Apart from me maybe listening to an instrumental track or a track that was 4 minutes that was just repeating lyrics, I was pretty confident once this song got to about the midway point that it was going to rank last, and happy to state that there was nothing worse than this, because yeah, I don't think I would choose to listen to this again, despite me really loving parts of it, like Benji's feature. Alright guys, so those were my rankings of the songs. Let's talk about my overall thoughts on Sumo Cyco. I think musically, this band is really good. I had my issue with that generic riff in the first song, but I really didn't come across anything else like that. It's been 10 years since that, so I'm just going to go on a limb and say they're better musicians, or at least better at writing music at this point. The electronics always added fun touch to all these tracks, so I think they can hang with the best in the metal, punk, ska, pop, reggae realm. Vocally, I think Sky Sweetnam is a strong vocalist. There's no denying it. I mentioned the first song. After that, I didn't really feel the need to mention it again because she's just always on point. However, the lyrics could be better for my personal taste. I get that lots of people like the repetition in lyrics. It's, you know, an easy way to form a hook, and I get that, and I do love me some hooks. But I guess I'm just too demanding when it comes to having fresh ideas instead of just rehashing the same lyrics over and over again for a hook. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you making it to the very end of this video. Like I said, give me some suggestions of bands or artists I absolutely need to check out in the comments below. I would very much appreciate it, whether it's a band you simp for or a band you hate. Not sure why you'd be suggesting that to me, but maybe you want me to feel your pain. So feel free to do that. While you're down there, let me know your thoughts on Sumo Cyco. Do you dig them? Did you know Sky Sweetnam had a metal band? Are you confused because you've never heard someone talk about Sky Sweetnam since like 2007? But most importantly, I'd like for you to stick around with me as I make my way to December 31st listening to a new band or artist every day. And honestly, the easiest way of doing that is if you simply cut my wrists and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now, but until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.